Welcome back to Chairman's Briefing. Every week, we review major stories that impact the mining industry. I'm Rachel Lee. As you've probably heard by now, global stock markets crashed over the weekend. The Dow, one of the most watched stock indexes in the world, registered a 4-digit loss. Even gold, the ultimate safe house, suffered weakness as a panicked market searched for liquidity. So what happened? Well, a flurry of things happened, but let's first focus on the unwinding of the yen carry trade. To step back a bit, the Bank of Japan kept interest rates super low for decades, making the yen weak against the dollar. Now, investors took advantage by borrowing yen at almost no cost and converting it to US dollars, investing in higher yield bonds or stocks. Even just putting dollars into US treasuries could net a decent profit. You'd be paying just 0.1% on your yen loan while earning around 4% on your US dollar investment. Plus, with the yen expected to keep dropping, you'd gain even more when buying back yen for less than you sold it. But here's where it gets ugly. Mid last week, the Bank of Japan hiked rates to 0.25%, the first hike in decades, after the yen had already started bouncing back against the dollar. And as fears of a U.S. recession pushed down bond yields, the yen surged nearly 15% from its July low against the dollar. This shift makes the carry trade much less attractive because the rate difference between the yen and the dollar narrows. So as investors scrambled to unwind their carry trades and sell other assets to cover their positions, a ripple effect across markets contributed to a global meltdown, as some media outlets call it. Now, traders comfortable with taking risk used this pullback to buy the dip, leading to some gains for stocks and cryptos, although prices are still well below where they were before the sell-off. As I mentioned earlier, there were some weaknesses in gold, but the metal's role as a hedge against uncertainty remains intact. According to an analysis of the metal's largest price runs over the past 50 years, the market now finds itself in a longer-lasting gold run than any since the U.S. fully abandoned the gold standard in August 1971. Brad Chastain at U.S. Money Reserve has said, quote, "As a physical asset, gold has no counterparty risk, making it safe than some other financial instruments reliant on issuers or other parties." We'd be remiss not to mention that gold made history last Friday. Gold contracts for December delivery reached an all-time high of $2,522.50 in the early trading hours before shedding its gains to trade at $2,475.90 an ounce by 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's an understatement to say that NextGen Energy's Rook I project has become expensive. The price to build this uranium project has jumped 70%. From $940 million to $1.58 billion US dollars. According to the company, this surge is due to inflation and higher engineering costs. Rook I in Saskatchewan's Athabasca region is hailed as one of the more robust uranium projects along the global development curve, which would represent roughly 13% of global supply once in production. Now, to help pay for higher costs, NextGen is seeking financing from various sources, including commercial lenders and export credit agencies. The market reacted negatively to this news and clipped the company's valuation. Seabridge Gold achieved a regulatory milestone for its KSM project last month and is now aiming to secure a major joint venture deal to advance its development. The KSM project, located in British Columbia's Golden Triangle, is a gold and copper giant with over 154 million ounces of gold and significant amounts of copper, silver, and molybdenum. But it comes with a hefty capex of about $6.4 billion. In search for a deep-pocketed partner, Seabridge is in talks with 6 major players, with RBC Capital Markets in the mix to create a competitive atmosphere. With the BC government recognizing the project's progress and committing $195 million for local infrastructure, Seabridge is in a strong position. Their 2022 pre-feasibility study pegs KSM as a massive producer with a 33-year mine life and strong financial returns. Iamgold's Côté gold mine in Ontario is officially up and running at commercial production. This means that they've hit a major milestone, with the mill operating at over 60% capacity for 30 days straight. Iamgold President Renaud Adams noted that the mine has been ramping up since the first gold pour in March. Now they're focusing on boosting plant performance to 90% of its full capacity by year-end. The company also completed an equity financing in May, setting them up to repurchase a 9.7% stake in Côté this November, increasing their ownership to 70%. And in our continued Yukon coverage, Snowline Gold reported strong grade continuity at its Valley deposit of the Rogue project. Drilling is ongoing at Valley and on other targets, with assays pending for an additional 15,600 meters drilled to date. Though the stock is getting a bit of a bump on the strength of these results, the company's zip code is still hurting its valuation. Where Victoria Gold is concerned, tensions keep building between the company and the First Nation group of Nacho Dun, who own the traditional territory where the failed Eagle mine sits. Chief Donna Hope called for a change in management. Quote, "The reality is that Victoria Gold cannot rectify the environmental damage caused by this event. They have been failing to take the remediation actions directed by the Yukon government." Symbol BOGO is freshly listed on the Venture Exchange. Borealis Mining is reviving the Borealis mine in Nevada, and it's not just any old mine site. It's fully permitted, equipped with active heap leach pads, an ADR facility, and all necessary infrastructure to support a heap leach gold mining operation. You can hear directly from Borealis CEO Kelly Malcolm on the latest Crash Labs podcast. We'll link the video above. BHP is asking the Chilean government to mediate with union leaders to prevent a strike at Escondido, the world's largest copper mine. Workers have so far rejected BHP's offer, which included a one-time bonus, extended workdays, and cut benefits. Union leaders are demanding that 1% of dividends are distributed equally among workers and that shifts and benefits remain untouched. Escondido is responsible for 5% of the world's copper and has faced major strikes before, causing past production losses. Energy Resources of Australia, ERA for short, is taking legal action after its lease for the Jabiluka uranium deposit in the Northern Territory was not renewed. Now, the site is near the Kakadu rainforest and has been controversial due to strong opposition from the local Murar people and past environmental protests. For context, the Northern Territory government decided not to renew the lease last month, following federal advice. ERA argues it wasn't given a fair chance to present its case and has sued the Australian Resources Minister. They're pushing for a court hearing before the lease expires on August 11th. Rio Tinto, which owns 80% of the ERA, won't support the project due to the Murar people opposition. The International Seabed Authority has a new Secretary General. Brazilian oceanographer Leticia Carvalho will take office on January 1st, making her the first woman and first scientist to hold the position. Carvalho's election follows a contentious campaign and ends Michael Lodge's two-term tenure. Lodge pushed aggressively for mining regulations, raising concerns over his ties to the mining companies that he regulated. Carvalho has stated that it's unlikely that the target date of July 2025 will be met to set deep-sea mining regulations, citing years of negotiation required to ensure that biodiverse and little-known deep-sea ecosystems are protected from the most harmful effects of mining. Alex Beard, former head of oil at Glencore, has been charged with corruption by the UK's Serious Fraud Office. Along with 4 ex-employees, he's accused of making corrupt payments to boost Glencore's oil operations in West Africa from 2007 all the way to 2014. Beard is the highest profile individual to be charged in a sweeping series of investigations into corruption and market manipulation at Glencore. He's set to appear in court on September 10th. And that's all I've got for you for this briefing. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Chairman's Briefing. Our subscribers get the news first every Thursday morning. If you'd rather watch here on YouTube, subscribe and hit the notification bell to support this channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.